Welcome back. I'm here with the director of the new film Darkest Hour, Joe Wright.
Thank you. Very exciting to be here.
Thank you for being here. So Winston Churchill had quite the life. That is the understatement of the year. But your film focuses primarily on one of his darkest periods. It's when he first becomes prime minister and he has to fend off Hitler. What about this moment spoke to you?
Well, really, it's the pivotal moment of British and European and perhaps world history. It's the moment when Hitler is coming across Europe and seems to be unstoppable. And Winston is faced with the choice of whether to negotiate or stand firm. And luckily for us, he chose to stand firm.
And he is definitely a flawed character, and your film has no problem presenting him as such. There are moments when we see him in the bathroom, on the toilet. There are moments we see him drinking.
He also lies to the people at one point in the movie
does.
as well, which I find to be a kind of interesting challenge, an interesting problem for leadership, whether you kind of lie to people and make them feel safe, or whether you present the real stark truth to them.
Gary Oldman is a revelation in this film. Make the case for why he should win the Oscar for this role.
Oh, that's not for me to do. I mean, you know, the film and the performance speaks for itself. And I believe that, you know, I grew up in London in the 80s and 90s, and he was the Don, the man, the geezer, and you know, and he still is.
Make that you find most enjoyable about working with him.
His collaboration, really. I mean, I think, you know, at first I was worried that maybe he'd just do his thing and I would arrange everything around him. And actually what I discovered, you know, working with him is that he wanted direction, he wanted collaboration. We became very, very close during the making of the movie. And it was probably the closest kind of creative collaboration I've ever had.
Take me back to that moment when you saw Gary in full Churchill.
Well, to be honest, it was a long process, and there were many iterations of the makeup. So it was about finding the sweet spot between looking like Churchill and still having access to his performance. But on the first day of rehearsals, we had the entire cast sat round a table for a read of the script, and Gary arrived in hair and makeup, and the entire cast just kind of stood up, and it was. There was a literal gasp as he walked in the room. It was kind of eerie. It was very eerie.
How do you think Churchill would have fared on Twitter?
I think he would have hated it. I think he would have absolutely, because he was very, you know, verbose and talked a lot. I mean, you know, if you had dinner with him, it would be an exercise in listening rather than a conversation. So I think he would have found the limited number of characters very difficult.
They've increased the number, but still, yeah,
no, still
not.
He wrote over 1 million words. I mean, 5 million words. He published more words than Shakespeare.
Thank you so much for being here, and Darkest Hour is in theaters now.